At this point it is utterly ridiculous how Paragon just edges the success all over time. It's comically close, but just not making the last decisive step forward it needed. Like in PvE, so in PvP. We've given the Paragon damage traits which increase both power and condition damage done by the same percentage, which would lend itself greatly to hybrid builds, which I have history of trying and failing to implement on Berserker, because if you don't know, Zack can generate 775 condition damage out of his ass. Before we continue, if you want to see me generate condition damage out of my ass, consider doing all the liking, subscribing YouTube nonsense, or consider supporting me through Patreon or channel memberships like those generous gentlemen did, so I can continue existing. Cycling back to the business, unfortunately there's just one big problem that keeps dragging hybrid builds down on Warrior, and that's the fact that the last time Warrior received a singular damaging condition was in 2014. That statement isn't entirely true, since technically there's bleeding on Banner of Discipline. But that's bleeding on Banner of Discipline. I don't think I need to elaborate on why is that irrelevant. Moreover, some damaging condition access like bleeding on body blows were removed over the years, making the entire set of choices we can pick from two swords, torch and longbow. There's also the mace, but it is Berserker exclusive, because only skill that applies condi damage in all of Mace toolkit is Skull Grinder, the primal burst. On top of that, torch is the worst terrestrial weapon Warrior currently has access to, and so we are basically forced to run dual swords and longbow. Which isn't a sentence I'd run away from. Swords are one of the best warrior weapons in general, and longbow is, well, longbow. The only thing truly bad about it is that its age is showing. Unfortunately, in the current environment of post-expac nonsense, it is rather difficult to properly judge viability of the few elite specs that aren't asking for a hotfix. That said, even in this environment, hybrid damage Paragon seems to perform above the minimum basic requirement necessary to function. You can't really face tank a luminary and call it a day, but that's not something one should realistically be able to do as of right now, and you still have acceptable survivability against anything less blue, so there's nothing to really worry about in this regard. You don't have some terrific burst damage that would evaporate your opponents in seconds, but that doesn't mean you can't get a kill. You do and you will, just with a little time involvement. Your strength as a hybrid Paragon is being an ultimate jack of all trades. You have decent power damage at range and up close. You have decent condition damage both at range and up close. You have boon access and sustain for yourself and others. You have CC countermeasures for yourself and for your allies, as well as CC of your own. You have support utility. You have damage reductions. And all of that crowned with the most comedic panic button that we could have had. We Will Never Yield is a panic button that lets you overextend and not get punished for it, or thwart enemies' attempts at bursting down someone else, or securing uncomfortable close 1v1s, or even dive onto the point and contest it with your brownie unbreakable body. Better yet, barrier at the end makes it so if you or your teammate manages to get out on 1 HP but with some bullshit condition applied, they'll live to tell the tale. This is of course not as good as Battle Standard as a form of helping your teammates, but when you play mainly with yourself in mind, this is a better option than Standard, while not entirely taking away your ability to support your teammates. Sure, you can't revive them, but you can make them immune to folding like a launcher for 3 seconds. And you have no idea what a good player can do with 3 seconds of free time. Besides disappointing a woman, of course. And all of this, decent mobility, decent damage of both types, decent range bracket, decent defenses, decent sustain, decent boon share and supportive backbone, and essentially decent everything. Literally every possible thing you can do in GW2 at about B+ level makes Hybrid Paragon capable of slotting itself perfectly into any team comp, because you're perfectly tailored to be helpful in any situation. Unless you have like 4 thieves or some shit, then it might be bad, but not at fault of your own. We don't excel at anything in particular, but we can do everything decently well. This is the Generalist's dream, the experience I signed up for when I picked Warrior in the class selection screen. It just has one small problem. You have to build up motivation and activate traits before you can make the best of your toolkit. Moreover, you have to upkeep those bonuses, which effectively means you have to gather the adrenaline, bank it through chance, and only then you become an actual threat to the enemy team. In short, you have to ramp up fast, and the longer the fight goes on, the more dangerous you become. Wait a minute. That's just the experience that was advertised to me when I picked Warrior on the character selection screen. Nonetheless, we can officially conclude dooming about Paragon. Sure, it is uninspired and still in need of more polish than just one Polish guy talking about it, but at the very least it's functioning, playable, has a moderately decent damage build that isn't just one-to-one copy of something Spellbreaker does better, and the only way it can go in the future is up. Because there is no way in hell arena nerds are nerfing this thing, at least not until I am done cooking. As always, a big sign of gratitude to all the Generalist supporters continuously considering my dubious quality content worth their money. You're all truly welcome. Crabface out.